Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory, and I'll be your voice tonight as we ease into rest. If these videos help you unwind, take a moment to like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. Now, get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like, because it's time for tonight's story. I didn't know I had an Aunt Ellen. That's what made the letter strange. Not just that, it arrived handwritten in a red envelope. Not just that the return address was from a town I'd never heard of, but that it called me her only living kin. I Googled Larchmont, found 3 towns with the same name. One in New York, one in Maine, one in Virginia. The address on the envelope didn't match any of them. I drove anyway. Hours out of state. Back roads. 2-lane highways that bled into dirt. No signs. No GPS. Just a gut feeling. The deeper I went, the quieter it got. No animals. No wind. Not even power lines. When I finally saw the mailbox bent, rusted, sun-faded letters spelling Ellen Kane, I felt something shift, like a weight dropped into my lungs. The air got heavier. The trees leaned closer. But the house was perfect. 2-story colonial. White siding. Fresh paint. Curtains in the windows. Porch light on, like it had been waiting. The key was taped to the inside of the mailbox. No note. I walked to the door. The floorboards didn't creak. The handle didn't stick. The lock clicked onto soft. Final. The living room was clean. Furniture covered in white sheets. Smelled like lavender and old pennies. There was no dust. None. Not even in the corners. On the kitchen table sat a black envelope. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Typed, "The house is yours. She liked you best. Never open the cellar." No signature. No date. I looked at the basement door. It was chained shut. 6 padlocks. All new. I didn't try to open it, but I counted the steps between the kitchen and the door. 12. Then I turned around, walked back the same path. Only counted 11. The upstairs bedrooms were full. Closets still had clothes. Walls still had family photos. Some of them were of me as a child. Photos I didn't remember posing for. Places I didn't recognize. In one, I was standing on the porch of this house, missing a tooth, smiling too wide. In the corner of the photo, partially out of frame, a woman's hand, long fingers, black nail polish. I found the will in a drawer, signed by a judge, stamped by a notary I couldn't trace. It stated clearly, "All property, land, contents, and claims transfer to Jason Kane, effective immediately." It was dated 4 years ago. I checked my phone. No signal. The power worked. The water worked. The clocks were all set to 3:33 a.m. Even though it was still early evening, I tried to fix them. They spun backward. That night, I heard the first whisper, soft, from the kitchen. Welcome home. I thought it was the wind. Then I remembered the trees weren't moving. The first night didn't feel like sleep. It felt like waiting. I lay in the guest bedroom, sheets clean, lights off. But the room hummed, not with sound, with something else, like a held breath. I closed my eyes around midnight. When I opened them again, the sun was up. The room had changed. The bed was on the other wall. The dresser was gone. The closet door was open. I didn't remember opening it. Inside were no clothes, just a mirror. Full length, heavy wood frame. I didn't remember it being there. I stepped toward it, looked in. It reflected the hallway behind me, but not me. I stepped left. The hallway moved. I stepped right. The reflection followed, but I wasn't in it. I waved, nothing, just the hall. Then I blinked, and I was there, staring back. Only my reflection wasn't moving. I turned away. When I looked again, the mirror was just a mirror. My image normal, tired, pale, smiling. I wasn't smiling. I shut the closet, got dressed, walked downstairs. The kitchen chairs had moved. The padlocked cellar door was gone, replaced with a blank wall. I touched it. Wood, dry, no seam. I stepped back, counted to 10, looked again. The cellar door was back. 6 padlocks, no key. I checked my phone, still no signal. The time read 3:33 a.m. Even though it was clearly morning, I turned the phone off. The moment the screen went black, I heard the whisper again from behind the refrigerator. You look tired. I spun. Nothing. But a cold draft hit the back of my neck like someone had just passed behind me. I opened the fridge, empty, except for a glass bottle of milk, no label, still cold. I didn't drink it. I opened a kitchen cabinet full of teacups, all cracked in the same place right through the handle. I opened another, same cups, same crack, dozens of them. I heard something move upstairs, footsteps, slow. Then a second set, quieter. I climbed the stairs. Each one creaked differently, like keys on a broken piano. The guest room door was open, but I had closed it. The bed was gone, replaced with a rocking chair. Moving slightly, a book on the floor. I picked it up, no title, no author, just page after page of handwritten text, all in the same hand, all saying the same sentence. She waits for the door to open. Hundreds of times, I closed the book, placed it back. It was gone when I turned around. The chair had stopped rocking. I left the room, walked to the master bedroom. The door was cracked open. Inside, the mirrors were all covered in cloth. Every one, even the vanity. Something scratched at the window. I lifted the curtain. No tree nearby, just open air. Then I saw it, in the reflection of the glass. A shape, standing in the guest room doorway. Tall, thin, head tilted. I turned around. Nothing there, but the smell of lavender was strong now. Too strong. I went back downstairs. The chairs were upside down. The tray from the fridge sat on the table. The milk open, glass full. No one had poured it. I didn't drink it. I stepped outside. The woods had changed. The driveway was gone. Just trees. I walked 5 minutes in one direction, reached the same mailbox. Ellen Ken. Still open, still empty. I looked up the road. Fog rolled across the trees like a living thing. I walked back to the house. It looked smaller, like it had settled lower into the earth. The porch steps were damp, not with rain, with something sticky. I didn't check what. I just went inside, closed the door, counted the locks. There were 7 now. One of them was already unlatched. I latched it. As I did, I heard a voice whisper behind me, "You can't lock out what you let in." I turned. The hallway was empty, but the mirror at the end now had 2 reflections, me and someone just out of focus, standing behind me and smiling. I packed my bag by noon. I didn't care about the inheritance anymore. I didn't care about the mystery. I just wanted to leave. The house was wrong, too quiet, too aware. The walls seemed to breathe. The floors shifted beneath my steps. The whispers were clearer now. I could almost tell where they came from. Always just behind me. Always just around the corner. I grabbed my keys, walked to the front door, turned the handle. It opened into a hallway, not the porch, not the yard, just another hallway. Long, wood-paneled, lights too dim to be bulbs, no windows. I stepped back, closed the door, tried the back door instead. It opened into a different hallway, carpeted, pale blue wallpaper. A rotary phone on a table with no cord. I picked it up, cold. The dial tone was a heartbeat. Slow, rhythmic, then a voice, not mine, not Ellen's. "You were supposed to stay." I hung up. Tried the kitchen window. It was painted shut. I grabbed a knife, broke the seal, pried it open. Wind rushed in, too strong, too fast. I looked out, not trees, not fog, just black. Endless, empty black. I blinked. The window slammed shut. I stepped back. The knife was gone. The counter was clean. My phone sat on the table, turned on. I hadn't touched it. The clock read 3:33 a.m. again. I turned it off, pocketed it, walked back through the house. Nothing was where it had been. Rooms had changed. The guest room now had bunk beds. The hallway had an extra door. The stairs looped back to the same floor. I tried the new door. It opened into a room I didn't recognize. Hardwood floor. An old record player in the corner. It was playing something faint, not music. A recording. My voice. "Don't follow it. Don't open the cellar. Don't turn around." Then static. Then a child's voice. "He already did." I backed out. Closed the door. The handle vanished. There was no longer a frame. Just smooth wall. I walked to the bathroom. Turned on the sink. Red water, no smell, no steam. Just thick, dark red. I turned it off. The mirror was fogged. No reflection. Just words scratched into the condensation. "She's in the walls. Don't sleep here." I wiped it clean. My reflection blinked before I did. I stepped back, left the bathroom, tried the front door again. Still the hallway. Only now it was longer, stretching farther than I could see. At the far end, a light flickered. A figure stood beneath it, motionless. facing me. I shut the door, looked for the cellar, still chained. But one of the locks was undone. I hadn't touched it. I heard the whispers again, this time louder. You were here before. You left the first time. You don't get to leave twice. I walked to the master bedroom, looked out the window, still fog, still nothing. But I saw movement, a silhouette, someone standing just beyond the tree line, tall, watching. I turned. The bedroom had changed. Now there was a crib in the corner. Something moved inside it, soft rustling. I stepped closer, looked in, empty. Just a baby monitor. The screen was on, showing a live feed of the cellar. No lights, no sound, just darkness. But something in the corner pulsed, like breath. I unplugged it. The screen stayed on. I threw it. The sound didn't stop. A new voice crackled from it. She's waiting at the bottom. Come see. I ran back down the stairs. Every picture on the wall now had no faces, just shadows where people used to be. Except for one, me, standing at the front door, smiling. One hand on the knob, one hand holding something behind my back. I didn't remember the photo. I didn't remember that smile. I didn't remember taking the picture. But it was dated. 7 days from now. I took it off the wall. The frame burned my hand. I dropped it. Glass shattered. Something behind it hissed. I didn't look. I ran back to the front door. Put my hand on the knob. This time, it was cold, wet, sticky. I turned it. The hallway was gone, just black. And one voice from somewhere inside the dark said softly, "Come back in. You forgot to turn the lights off." I blocked the bedroom door with everything I could move. Dresser, desk, chair wedged under the handle. I nailed the windows shut. Stuffed towels under the crack in the door. I didn't know if it would work, but I needed something to feel like a boundary. The room was cold, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you realize sound isn't missing, it's hiding. I sat in the corner and waited, counted every creak, watched the walls for movement. I'd seen them breathe before. I knew they would again. The air started to change just after midnight. Heavy, wet. The wallpaper on the far wall began to bubble, like something behind it was pushing. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just stared. The wall exhaled, and from behind it, something scratched. Slow, deliberate, like nails trailing along old plaster. Then the whisper came again. "You locked the wrong door." I stood, pressed my back to the closet. The wallpaper stopped moving. The scratch changed direction. Now it came from beneath the bed. I crouched, lifted the blanket. Nothing there, but the carpet bulged, just slightly, like something was beneath it, crawling. I backed away. The window behind me cracked. I spun. The glass hadn't broken. It had just shifted. Now it reflected the hallway. Even though the blinds were drawn, in the reflection, I saw her. Long dress, pale arms, no face, just black where her eyes should be. She was standing outside the door, waiting, but I could hear her inside, breathing, whispering, telling me she never left. I turned the lamp on. The light flickered, dimmed. then died. The mirror on the vanity shook. The towel I'd stuffed under the door turned black. Like it had soaked something up, I didn't check what. I just backed into the farthest corner, closed my eyes, counted my breaths. 1, 2, 3. The closet door opened. I hadn't heard it unlatch. It just opened, inch by inch. The hinges didn't creak, the air didn't move, but the smell changed. Lavender and rot. I looked. Inside was darkness. Too much of it. Like the back wall had been removed. Like it stretched into a space that didn't belong. And then her voice again. This room was mine first. You only borrowed it. Now I'm moving back in. The mirror reflected her hand on my shoulder. I didn't feel it, but I saw it. Long fingers, black nails, touching me. I turned. Nothing. But my shoulder burned. I looked. 4 dark prints pressed into the skin. Cold, wet. I ran. Moved the chair. Pulled the dresser aside. Tore the door open. The hallway was gone. Now it was a staircase. Stone. Narrow. Leading down. Deeper than the foundation, deeper than the earth. I didn't want to go, but the floor behind me cracked. A hand burst through it, thin, gray, grasping for my ankle. I stepped onto the stairs. They pulsed under my feet, like muscle, like throat. I descended, slowly. The air grew warmer, then hot, then thick. The light behind me vanished. Ahead, only a red glow. And her voice, closer now, whispering in both ears at once. Thank you for unlocking the 3rd lock. 4 more and I can come upstairs. I turned back. The stairs were gone. The way up had closed. The walls around me vibrated. And I realized they weren't stone. They were wood. Old. Familiar. Wallpaper peeled in the same spots as the upstairs hall. The house wasn't above the cellar. The house was the cellar. I was still inside it. I never left. I ran forward. Doors appeared on either side, all labeled with names I didn't know, except one, Jason Kane. The door opened before I touched it, and inside was my bedroom. Perfect, clean, lights on, mirror still cracked, and in the center her chair, facing away. She was already seated, waiting for me to sit too. She didn't move when I entered. The chair rocked slightly, forward, back, forward, back. Her dress touched the floor like fog. Her hands rested neatly in her lap, pale, vain, too long. I didn't speak at first. I waited, listened. The house around us held its breath. Then I asked, "Who are you?" She didn't turn, but I heard her voice. It didn't come from her mouth. It came from the mirror, the walls, the floor beneath my feet. I was the first. I stayed. Now it's your turn. I stepped closer. Her head tilted slightly, like she was listening. "What is this place?" I asked. The lights flickered. The mirror rippled like water. A house remembers its grief. It builds around the ones who feed it. You came hungry. I didn't know what that meant. I wanted to leave. I said so. I told her I never wanted this. Never wanted the house. Never knew Ellen. Never asked for any of it. The room pulsed once. Then she answered. She called you. She needed a door. You were born in the right shape. I stepped closer. I could almost see her face now. A blur, a suggestion, like memory left too long in the sun. I asked if Ellen was still here. She paused. Then she tried to leave. She opened the wrong mirror. She's in the other room now. The wall to my left groaned. A door I hadn't noticed creaked open. I stepped to it, looked inside. It was a bathroom, same tile as the one upstairs, same rust around the faucet. But in the tub something sat, wrapped in sheets, breathing. I backed out, closed the door. When I turned back, the chair was empty. The mirror was full. She stood behind me now, in the reflection. Head tilted, mouth closed, eyes black. I faced her. No one there. I turned back to the mirror. She lifted a finger, touched a glass, and the surface rippled. Then I remembered something. A dream I used to have as a child. A hallway, a mirror, a woman calling my name, soft, gentle, asking me to open the door. I used to wake crying. I never saw her face. I asked the mirror, "Was that you?" Her voice was smaller now, close, almost kind. "You left me there. I've been waiting." You remember now, don't you? I did. Or maybe the house made me think I did, but the memory was clear. A house like this one. A basement door. A girl I dared not follow. I turned to leave. The door was gone again, just wall. The lights dimmed. Her voice returned. "You asked for me first." In a whisper, in a wish. Don't lie to the house. Something knocked from the inside of the bathroom door. 3 times. Slow. Wet. Like bone on porcelain. I didn't answer. I looked in the mirror again. My reflection was still. But something behind me moved. A second me. Pale. Shaking. Reaching for my throat. I spun around. Empty room. But the air was wrong. My breath fogged. A sound filled the room, like paper tearing underwater. The chair turned slowly. She sat again. Only now her face was visible. It was mine, smiling. "Now you see. Now you hear. Now let me speak through you." Then she stood, lifted her hands, and placed her fingers gently on my chest. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. But I could hear. The house around me exhaled, and every mirror in the walls whispered at once, "Thank you for remembering. We've been so lonely." I woke on the floor, not the one I fell asleep on. Different carpet, different light, dimmer, dustier. The air was warm, wet. I stood slowly. My back ached. My mouth was dry. The bedroom was familiar but wrong. The dresser had too many drawers. The window looked into another room instead of the outside. A kitchen, I think, but upside down. The mirror above the vanity showed me a hallway behind me, not the one I was in. The wallpaper was darker now. Flowers that hadn't been there before, wilting, bleeding into the edges of the frame. I opened the bedroom door. The hallway was filled with fog, thick, damp. It moved like it was alive. I heard voices inside it, none of them mine, none of them hers. Children, laughing, crying, whispering. I stepped into it, my skin felt heavy, my thoughts slow. The walls pulsed as I walked. My footsteps didn't echo, but I heard footsteps beside me, not following, not leading, just existing next to mine. The hallway turned, ended in a large room I'd never seen. A library, dusty, cold, books stacked in strange ways. Some open, some upside down, some bleeding. Ink dripped from the pages like oil. I touched one. It was warm. A name was written across every page. My name, repeated in different handwriting, different eras, different tools. Pencil, pen, crayon, blood. In the corner of the room, a record player spun nothing. The needle scratched silence. I turned it off. The room shuddered. Something hissed behind the bookshelf. I didn't check. I left the room. Another hallway. No lights, but the walls glowed faintly, like embers beneath the paint. I reached for a doorknob. My hand passed through it. Not incorporeal just, not solid anymore. My body was changing, matching the house, becoming flexible, interchangeable. The mirror at the end of the hall showed me melting, bones stretching, teeth shifting. But I could still see my eyes, still recognize the fear in them. I whispered my name. It came out wrong, echoed 3 times in voices that weren't mine. Then the door behind me opened. A man stepped out, tall, pale, wearing my face, only older, hollowed. He looked at me, smiled. You woke up too early. The house wasn't ready. I asked who he was. He answered with my name. I told him that wasn't possible. He said, "We all live here eventually. We just arrive at different times." He reached out. I backed away. His hand touched the mirror. It rippled. "This is your turn. Next time, you'll knock." I asked what he meant. He looked behind me. I turned. The hallway was gone. I stood in the kitchen again, normal. Sunlight through the windows, no fog, no mirrors. A knock at the front door. I didn't answer. Another knock, louder. A voice. "Jason?" I recognized it, my own, muffled, afraid. I opened the door. No one there, just fog. Then something stepped out of it. A girl, maybe 10. Pale eyes, long hair. She looked up at me and smiled. "You were in my dreams. You kept asking to come inside." I stepped back. She crossed the threshold. The house didn't resist. The door shut behind her on its own. She looked around. "I like your house." I didn't respond. She walked past me into the living room, sat in the chair, the same one the woman always used. She folded her hands, closed her eyes, whispered something I couldn't hear, and the walls pulsed again, like breath, like agreement. The girl opened her eyes. "It's your turn to wait now." I tried to speak. My mouth didn't move. I tried to run. My feet didn't listen. The lights dimmed. The house was resetting, rebuilding, preparing. The girl stood, looked back at me. "Thank you for making room." Then she walked through the wall. Not a door, just the wall. I tried to follow. Hit solid wood. The mirrors in the hall all showed the same thing now. Me, standing still. Eyes blank, hands folded, waiting for someone else to knock. The knock came at noon. 3 short taps. I didn't move. I hadn't moved in hours, maybe days. Time had stopped tracking the same way. The clock still read 3:33. The mirrors still pulsed. The air still breathed. But the knock came anyway, louder now, urgent. Then a voice, "Hello? Is anyone inside?" I stepped toward the door. My body hesitated. Not out of fear, out of habit. The house didn't like opening. But this time, it let me. The door creaked. Bright sunlight spilled in. I squinted. For the first time in however long, I felt warmth. Real warmth. Outside stood a man, backpack over one shoulder, envelope in hand. "Jason Kane?" I nodded slowly. He extended the letter. "I think we're related. I just got this in the mail." The envelope was red. Same wax seal, same handwriting, addressed to him from Aunt Ellen. He smiled nervously. It said I inherited this place. Is she here?" I stepped aside. He entered. The house didn't fight it. That worried me. He looked around. Weird. Looks bigger in person and darker. I thought it would be cleaner. I looked at the walls. They were spotless. Same polished wood, same breathing wallpaper. I asked him what he saw. He furrowed his brow. Old, run down, dusty, feels abandoned. I asked what the outside looked like. He stepped to the window. Rotted porch, overgrown yard, shattered glass. This place looks condemned. He turned to me, "But inside's fine, right?" "I mean, you've been living here." I nodded. I didn't correct him. He looked confused, nervous. "Are you the caretaker?" I didn't answer. The house wouldn't let me. He dropped his bag on the floor, looked around. "This is wild. I didn't even know we had extended family. I've never heard of Ellen before." I had, but only after she was gone. Only after the letter. The way he spoke, the way he stepped. It reminded me of myself, the way I'd been on the first day. Curious, unafraid, unaware. I saw it clearly now. I was the door, and he had just knocked. He reached for the cellar. I stepped in front of it. He paused. "Is that locked for a reason?" I nodded. He laughed. Tried to lighten the mood. "Let me guess, haunted?" The house didn't like that. The floorboards under him creaked. Deep, hollow, like a throat clearing. He didn't seem to notice. I watched the walls. They pulsed again, like holding breath, waiting. I asked if he was tired. He said yes. The trip had been long. I showed him to the guest room. It looked normal now. Bed made. Closet closed. No mirror. He set his bag down. Looked around. "Do you hear that?" I asked what. He paused. Tilted his head. "Whispers. Like behind the walls." I said nothing. He turned. "Is this place wired for sound or something?" I shook my head. He shrugged. Sat on the bed. The springs groaned like something breathing in reverse. "Guess I'll settle in. You know if there's a town nearby?" I didn't answer. He yawned. Rubbed his eyes. Lay back on the bed. His eyes shut. Then opened again. Wide. Wait. What time is it? I checked the hallway clock. 3:33. His breath hitched. That's what mine says. Even my phone. Is that a thing here? I told him to sleep, that the house would be quiet, that it always was before. He nodded, closed his eyes. The lights dimmed on their own. The hallway flickered. A mirror reappeared in the corner. I saw his reflection, then mine, then hers, already standing between us. The walls whispered, "You opened the door. You let him in. Now one of you must stay." I didn't sleep after he did. I sat outside his door listening. The house was quiet, but not still. The kind of quiet that builds before something happens, like lungs drawing breath. The floor beneath me was warm, too warm, like someone was sleeping just under the boards. I touched the wall beside his room. It pulsed once, a low thud like a slow heartbeat. I whispered his name. He didn't answer. I cracked the door open. He was asleep on the bed, hands folded, breathing shallow, eyes twitching behind his lids. The mirror on the wall was uncovered now. It hadn't been there before. His reflection was asleep too, but something stood behind it, just behind him. In the mirror, tall, pale, smiling. I closed the door, put my back against it, thought about running. But I didn't know where the outside was anymore. I didn't even know if it existed. The hallway stretched in both directions now, endlessly. Like the house had decided, distance was optional. I walked, slowly, 1 step, 2, 10, 100, same wallpaper, same lights, same carpet, then a door. My name carved into it. I didn't open it. I kept walking. More doors, some open, some breathing. I heard voices behind one, laughter, my voice, and someone else's. Ellen, the girl, or the woman who came before all of us? I couldn't tell. I stepped away, ran back to the room. His door was wide open. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, blank expression, pale, eyes not blinking. I stepped in, said his name. He didn't look at me, just stared into the mirror. She talked to me. She said I'd be better at it than you were. I asked what she meant. He stood, walked slowly to the mirror, reached out, touched the glass. It didn't ripple. It cracked. A thin fracture spread across it like ice. "She's tired of waiting. She said you were too quiet." You didn't let her finish. The wall behind him groaned. A new door appeared, smaller, black wood, no handle, just a keyhole. He looked at me, smiled, but not with his eyes. "I think she wants you to see." He stepped through it. The door vanished behind him. I ran to it, slammed my hands against the wall. It didn't budge. I screamed his name, nothing. Then the mirror shimmered, showed me the other side. A room I didn't recognize. Rotting, wet, walls covered in writing. My name over and over. And in the center, he stood, head tilted, eyes black, her fingers resting on his shoulders. "He listens better than you. He won't run. He lets me finish my story." The mirror went dark. The lights in the hallway flickered. Then something whispered in my ear. Not behind me, inside me. "He's home now. You're free to leave." I stepped into the hall. The wallpaper peeled back. A door I hadn't seen before appeared. Plain wood, rusted knob. The kind of door you find in real houses. I grabbed the handle. It turned, opened, sunlight, a road, a field, my car in the distance, still dusty, still full of fuel. The house said nothing. No pressure, no pull, no whisper. I stepped through. The air was cold, real. The sky was blue. Birds chirped. My heart raced. I looked back. The house was small, crumbling, windows broken, roof half caved. It looked like it had been abandoned for decades. I walked to the car, got in, drove until the house was gone, until the road had turns again, until signs started pointing to places I remembered. I stopped at a gas station, washed my face, looked in the mirror. No shadow behind me, no whisper, but my reflection smiled before I did. I asked the clerk what town this was. He said, Larchmont. Last house is gone now. They tore it down years ago. I nodded. Left. But that night, in the hotel room I rented under a different name, I opened my suitcase. Inside was a red envelope, wax seal. My name in that same handwriting. No stamp, no postmark, just one sentence inside. You were never supposed to leave alone. The envelope stayed sealed for 3 days. I didn't touch it. I left it in the drawer of the nightstand, closed it, stuffed a towel in the crack so I wouldn't have to see the corner poking out. But it whispered, only when I closed my eyes, my name, again and again. Not angry, just patient. I left the hotel after the second night, drove west, found a motel, then another, then a rest stop. Every place I went, something changed. Lights flickered when I walked in. Mirrors froze when I passed. The rooms had furniture in the wrong places. Wallpaper that pulsed when I got too close. I checked the maps. Larchmont wasn't on them. Not anymore. I asked 3 people. None had heard of it. One said it sounded like a dream. I asked what that meant. He looked me in the eye and said, not all houses stay where we leave them. I stopped asking questions after that. I tried calling someone I trusted. No one answered. Every voicemail was the same. A quiet breath, then a whisper. There are still rooms left. I smashed the phone, got a burner. The first time I turned it on, it already had one message waiting. No number, just a recording of me. Crying, saying I'm sorry, saying I didn't mean to leave. I didn't remember recording it. I threw the phone into a river. It still rang that night, in the drawer beside the motel bed. When I opened it, a rotary handset was there. No cord, no dial, just ringing. I didn't pick it up. I left again. I drove until the roads narrowed. Gas stations disappeared. The trees came back, thick, familiar. The smell of lavender and copper in the air. And then, the house. I didn't see it. I felt it. Every part of the land curved around where it should have been. But the house wasn't there. Not physically. Not yet. But its shadow was, cast across the grass, stretching toward me. I followed it, because there was nothing left to run to. The rot had followed. Motel mirrors cracked without cause. Elevators opened to floors that didn't exist. Children stared too long, said things no one taught them. You're leaking. You left her behind. She doesn't want someone new. The world was bending, not breaking, rewriting, one boarded house at a time. And all of them were starting to look like hers, like mine, like ours. So I went back, the only place I'd ever left incomplete, and when I found the field where the house should be there, it was quiet, small, waiting. No driveway, no trees, just walls made of memory and wood. I knocked. The door opened before I touched it. Same hallway, same smell, same air, but different now, deeper, older, like it had been rotting without me. And in the center of the living room, seated in the same chair, he waited. The man I let replace me, pale, thin, hollowed out like a fruit left in the sun. She doesn't want me anymore, he said. She said I talked too much. I asked where she was. He looked up. His mouth moved, but her voice came out. You shouldn't have left. We were almost finished. The lights dimmed. The wallpaper bubbled. The floor cracked beneath my feet. I saw the other rooms, all the others. People like me. People who had inherited things they didn't understand. People who had seen a mirror show someone else's memory. And all of them were here. In the walls, in the glass, in the breath between words. I asked what she wanted. The voice answered from every corner. A witness, a listener, a name that doesn't leave. I took a step forward. The man, the copy, the echo stood slowly. It has to be one of us. She only lets one stay. She only lets one leave. I looked at the front door. It was closed again. I looked at the mirror. It showed me walking away, then burning. I looked at him. He smiled, just slightly, and whispered, "It should have been you." I stepped forward, took his hand, closed my eyes, and waited for her to choose. I didn't feel the house choose. There was no sound, no flash, no scream, just quiet, like the world held its breath and never let it go. He let go of my hand first, looked at me, eyes pale, mouth trembling. He nodded once, then turned to the wall, walked toward it, passed through it like fog. I didn't call out, didn't move. I stood in the living room, the last room, and waited. The wallpaper peeled itself away. Beneath it, names, hundreds, some carved, some written, some burned in, all with dates, all crossed out, except one, mine, still fresh, still wet. I reached out, touched it. My fingers came back red. From the mirror, her voice rose again, soft, tired. You stayed. You heard the whole story. Now I can rest. I asked who she was. The mirror pulsed, showed a version of the house I'd never seen, brighter, full of life. Flowers in the windows, music playing in the kitchen. A woman in a red dress, humming to herself, painting. A child in the corner, drawing spirals on the floor, over and over. Spirals just like the ones carved into the basement door. I watched as the door opened. The woman stepped in, closed it behind her, never came back out. The child stopped humming, grew up alone, lived in silence, spoke only to the walls. until the walls answered back. Then the mirror cracked. I asked again, "Who are you?" Her voice changed. Younger, the house, then older, the child, then mine, the part of you that never stopped listening. The voice you buried under the sound of forgetting. You are the last, so you must be the first again. The lights in the house all turned on, one by one. Every room, every hallway, every place I'd never found, they lit up like memory waking. The floor creaked softly, the kind of creak that meant no harm, just movement, just breath, just wait. I walked the halls again, slowly, without fear this time. They were mine now. I understood that, not in ownership, but in obligation. I was the listener, the next one to remember, and the one after me would come looking too. I walked past the guest room. It was made up again, clean, empty, ready. I opened a closet. No mirror, just a stack of letters, red envelopes, all blank, all waiting for names. I opened the top one. Inside, a message typed on soft linen paper. You are invited. You are remembered. You are welcome home. I took the letter, walked downstairs. The cellar door was gone. The locks were laid neatly on the table, polished, open, resting like they were tired too. I sat in the chair that had always faced me. I faced it now, looked into the mirror, my face, my hands, my voice, and someone standing behind me, the girl, the child, the one who used to live here. She smiled. I never wanted to be alone. I smiled back. You aren't. Not anymore. And she disappeared. Not gone. Just resting. Finally, the floor stopped breathing. The house stopped whispering. The lights dimmed. Not in fear, in peace, like sleep. The next day, the mail arrived. Just one envelope. Red. No stamp, no name. I opened it. Inside one line, typed, "We've sent another." I walked to the guest room, laid the letter on the bed, left the door cracked, went back to the chair. The house was quiet. Outside, the wind moved for the first time. Real wind, leaves rustling, light through the trees, and then a knock. 3 slow taps, not angry, not urgent, just polite. "Hello?" a voice said. I stood, smiled, walked to the door, and whispered to the house, "Let them in."